which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, first thing on the agenda is Pam Goffman.
Okay, the only thing I have is payroll that was distributed on April the 12th for all county employees was $152,152.53. And also comp time paid out to the health department for $5,645.05.
Any discussion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded.
Yes.
We'll vote by roll call. Randy?
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
Motion made, second, carried 3-0. Okay, anything else, Pam?
Nope, that's it.
All right, next on the agenda, Jerry Cottingham, correct? Yes, if you could. Yes.
Okay, how's this work?
Okay.
Yes.
So this is to petition to vacate part of Herman Street, right over here across Dobie Lane.
Okay, your attorney has followed the public.
Mhm.
Is all that completed, or what are you asking today? That we hold a public hearing, or what's your request today?
To, yeah, I guess finish vacating that. As far as I'm know, all of the, the public notice and everything has been taken care of. It was in the paper. I got a copy of that. I think he sent you a proof of, that was put in the paper.
Okay. On the ordinance here, let's see that it states that the petitioners respectfully request the Board of Commissioners of Perry County, Indiana, to hold a public hearing of this petition. I don't know if this is the public hearing, or we
Yes.
have to announce a
Yes,
public hearing.
this is it,
This is the public hearing?
yes. And the only landowners that own property adjacent to this are the ones that are filing the petition,
Right.
to my understanding,
Yes.
yes.
Okay,
Which is Mr. Ramsey and Mr. Cottingham.
okay.
And the public hearing was in the paper, you said? So-
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Any discussion from the board?
Looks like the road is just on the map and never did really exist, right? Looks like
Exact-
just a driveway.
Right. It never, none of those existed back all the way from Dobie Lane to Bernie and Kathy Bauer's house.
And is it really just this piece right here that you're,
Yeah. I was asked why I didn't go ahead and do it all, because we own that property back there too, and the reason was I just thought it'd be easier. Because we had this house sold. This all happened because we had sold the house on Dobie Lane, we fixed it up, put it on the market, it sold. But the title company noticed that that strip of Herman was actually going through part of that old barn. And so they kind of balked at it, and that's how we got here, was
Oh, I
that.
see.
So I decided, okay, let's just make it quick and easy.
so it's literally just that one
Yeah,
block
exactly.
right there?
Yep.
Okay.
So how far does Herman Street go ahead up through there on the map? I
Um,
know, does it follow that wood line?
It follows basically that creek line there.
Yeah, okay, creek, okay.
Yeah, so it basically goes across the creek for probably, 20 yards or so, all the way to Dobie Lane there.
Okay.
And then Mark has, on the other side of that, the old White House. I guess that was another Ziegel Gruber house on the other side there.
Yeah.
When we've done this for other properties,
Yeah. ain't no
that,
problem.
that a street just basically runs through the middle of the property.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Chris Goffin has reviewed all of this information as well.
Okay.
And we'll have another one here in a couple months out of Bristol too.
Oh, okay.
That the fire department's been working on too, so.
Mhm. Okay.
It's same, sort of the same thing, so. Well, I don't see any problem with it myself, so.
Greg, do you?
No, no.
Well, I'll make a motion to vacate it.
Okay.
Second.
Motion made and second, we'll vote on by roll call. Randy?
Aye.
Aye.
And also aye, so, motion made, second, carried 3-0. Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you, thank you, guys.
Mhm.
I'm gonna put it down that you vacated and approved the ordinance, if that's okay, cause you gotta sign the ordinance for it, okay?
We'll get a signed copy
All right.
to the county attorney, and then if he wants to forward it on to Mr. Schnarr and you as well, okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, next on the agenda is Brian Herwig with the Perry County Hospital.
I'm here on behalf of the hospital board. We'd like to ask permission from the county to sell the Cannleton Clinic. It's about 3,500 square feet. We have not been in the clinic for the last 2 or 3 years. We relocated services to our Tell City Clinic, and we're in the process now of expanding the services offered in our 13th Street Clinic. Tony Hollenden has an offer on the building from a local investor who wants to convert it to retail. As I understand, the board has unanimously approved the sale. We will not, don't have plans for it and won't reopen that. And so we need to get county approval for that. So.
Okay. I did speak to, I know it's not, but just out of respect, I spoke to Ralph Terry, and he's 100% behind this. As far as Cannleton is concerned, that he did want to make that under ordinances that the first floor has to be retail and can't be apartments.
Okay.
But that's between him and the buyer.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
but I felt out of respect, I've talked to Ralph, and he thinks this is good too, so.
Yeah. And actually, I had Tony talk to Ralph as well, so that
Mhm.
there has been, to be transparent, there has been concern that we left the community and that, the local folks that used to walk to the clinic couldn't get services, and we acknowledge that. Same time, the hospital has supported the Council on Aging with their van, and we supported the purchase of an additional van last year so that those patients could get transportation up to the clinic, up to the hospital actually, and so either there or at the Tell City Clinic, and we've been serving those patients that way. And actually the COVID vaccination clinic, we've been offering in collaboration with the county health department. We've had quite a few folks from Cannleton in our clinic, so that's worked well. So.
Good. Keep up the good work.
Okay. I would just add one thing while I'm here in front of the commission, which is not on the agenda. I would let you to follow up on some old business. We are getting the EMS billing review complete, so hopefully we'll have that. We'll report that back to you and the council as well. So.
Okay.
Do
All right.
do
Thank
you have
Brian.
a use for the proceeds from the sale of the building in mind, or just
Put it in the bank, I think. No, we just
Okay.
nothing in particular. Appreciate that.
Okay, any more comments or entertain a motion?
I'll make that motion to approval of the sale of the building.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, motion made, second. We'll vote by roll call. Randy?
Aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye, so motion made, second, carried 3-0. Thanks, Brian. Thanks, Don.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, everybody. I'm Jackie Philgartner, and I am the General Manager at Antro Water Authority, and I just wanted to give a quick update on what all we have going on there. Currently, we service just under 800 homes and businesses. So at your average 2.3 people per household, we're looking at about 4,000 residents in Perry County that we hit. I think that's about 21% of your population. We are currently looking at several improvement and maintenance projects, as well as some opportunities for expansion. We are working with our engineering firms to provide costs on these projects. I also wanted to make sure you guys were aware that we, Antro Water and Troy Township has signed a contract where Antro Water is going to manage and operate the Troy Township water system. So that means I'm here on behalf of both companies now. At Troy Township, we currently serve just under 300 homes. So that's going to be about 700 of your residents for an additional 3.5% of the population. So between the two companies, we're looking at about 25% of your population. Now, Troy Township has had the opportunity to work with an engineering firm, and they recently issued a preliminary engineering report that spells out or prioritizes the improvement needs within that system. And it was kind of lengthy. It includes the rehab of a pump station or a booster station, and to repairs and maintenance to the second booster station that they have out at Rocky Point. They suggest that they have new residential meters installed. Right now they have the direct read meters, so they would be looking at installing the radio read meters, which would help with the monthly reading process. They suggest a SCADA system, which is a monitoring system that's installed at the tanks and the pump houses and certain meters. It also includes like the water analyzers, and what that does is it collects data and sends it back to a central location where you can tell what your tank heights are at whatever time. You can set parameters where if the tank drops so low, the pumps automatically kick on. You don't have to have the guys out there to turn them on and off. You can manually turn pumps on and off, open and close valves from the office, or we actually have an app. Antro has this system. You can pull up an app and manage the system that way. So they recommend installing that as well. They also recommended a GIS mapping system of their water lines, and that's just where you use GPS to pinpoint where the water mains, the service lines, the meters, flush hydrants are. Our guys did that for Antro's system. They would be able to do the same for Troy Township as well. With that said, of course you can see what's above ground. You'd be able to pinpoint easily, and then you just kind of connect the dots there. And then anytime you have to dig up to repair a line, then you're going to get the precise GPS coordinates at that point for the underground portion. Now we do know that Troy Township has the storage capacity to expand their system down there. However, at this time, due to the age of the system and the improvements needed, we're going to have to focus on those improvements now in that area, like the engineers recommend. But with that said, I've been working with both boards, and I feel like they both recognize the importance of maintaining and improving their systems. So, I think there's interest in getting things done there. I know we're in the early planning stages of these projects. However, I did want to take this opportunity just to meet with the leadership of Perry County to make you aware of our plans, to make sure you know what's going on with the rural water in your area. And we will have to seek funding for these projects. So if there is funding that becomes available to help out with such projects, we would appreciate you keeping us, both companies, in mind. Does anybody have any questions or need additional information that I might be able to help?
Is the Troy Township board going to stay intact, or is it just going to be one board?
Now, currently, they're staying intact.
Okay.
We're just managing and operating. It's two different entities. We're not combining. We are going to physically move. They just have one employee. We're going to try to get her moved out to help eliminate some of the expenses on their side, just to consolidate stuff wherever we can save money. We're going to do it. to help out both utilities. But yeah, as of now, the way the contract's written, they both boards will remain. Anything else?
What do you look at funding, like for your operation? I mean, on a normal basis, do you go to USDA or?
Pat has gone, now I am new to this role, I've not even been here a year yet, but Pat has done, the state revolving, and then we do have a USDA loan as
Okay.
well. What I've been told, she's had trouble getting like Okra grants, just struggle
Yeah.
with those. But they may be available now, I don't know, it's
Right, 'cause the-
stuff we
yeah,
need to
the
look into.
Rules are changing on the.
Exactly, that's what I'm hearing. So we are open to looking into all options that are out there.
Yeah, there's some options out there, so we'll keep our.
I
in touch
appreciate
and
it.
Keep our eye open.
Okay, thank you for your time, guys.
Thank you.
Nice to meet everybody.
Mhm. Okay, Glenn Aitchen?
Hello, my name's Glenn Aitchen. I'm a Leopold resident and a member of the Perry Central Community School Corporation Board. Just want to give you a quick update on some things that I've been working on personally and throughout the community. This isn't really anything new. You guys probably know more than I do about the history of Northern Perry County and our investigations into infrastructure, into increasing population attraction, and that doesn't mean, like we want to become a densely populated county, but that more or less, when we talk about population attraction, is more geared toward keeping our youth and our family members here in the county by being able to provide them with places to live, jobs, and that sort of nature. So for probably the past 10 years or so, there's been a group of individuals that get together, not really on a regular basis, but just to talk about what can help Perry County, what can help the overall homeowner, what we can do to move forward with our quality of life, with our environmental impact, with things like that. And I know there's been quite a bit of focus over the years on the interchange out at St. Croix. Well, recently, and probably about 2 years ago, we kind of re-energized the group with various members from multiple agencies. I don't recall, to the best of my knowledge, I don't recall any elected officials from the council or the commission or anybody being involved in these discussions that I can remember as far as that goes. It was just residents. We've had discussions with Antro, with PSC, with Southern Indiana Power. It's just been all unofficial, public stand around the fireplace kind of talk about what can we do to make Perry County better. And so over the past 2 years, we've gotten more focused, more serious about how we can turn this into something and do something good for the community. Being a school board member, obviously I have ties and I'm a little biased, I guess, maybe so to speak, towards trying to do what's best for Perry Central, but obviously that's why I'm elected to be on that position. And I also live and have a business in Leopold, so I have some vested interest in that area as well. So anyway, kind of fast forward to now, over the past year, everything's just kind of been at a standstill with the obvious of not being able to have meetings and social distancing and everything like that. And now we're kind of coming back to the point where we feel like we've talked to enough people. We've talked to residents, we've talked to business owners, we've talked to members of the school district. We've had a little bit of input from I'll just say individual landowners that may want to look into more expansion of their sales of their properties. Tips All Acres is one of them, And we want to now kind of bring this to the point where what can we actually do with it on a county level to help Perry County residents, to increase quality of life, to lessen environmental impact, and move this forward. So I'm coming here before you today to kind of just throw this out there. And one of the ideas that we've come up with is not only maintaining the current infrastructure that we have for the sewer system that comes from Tell City out to, I think it goes all the way up maybe even to the Circle S, but at least to the prison, the Department of Corrections. You know, we've kind of investigated some issues with that, and one of the main issues with that system is currently it doesn't have enough capacity. It needs more users to make it a more, I guess, viable system to maintain. I don't understand all the ins and outs of the the sewer industry, but from what I understand, it needs more flow. The more flow we have through it, the better it runs, and the better the less maintenance you actually have to do on the system. So how do we bring more users on to that system to help with that issue and also benefit the community? Well, we've talked about going out to St. Croix, and it's just always run into so many issues, and the biggest being the Hoosier National Forest in between those two areas to tie them together, because you're going through a couple of miles of area that's never going to have any actual residents. And you know, if you throw out the general term of the per mile price, it just doesn't make any sense to try to expand through that area to the northern part of the county. So we've kind of come back and decided, well, we've got other communities such as Leopold and Derby and Bristow and things like that maybe we could branch off into and see if that is a viable option. So we don't know what direction that should go in, but we do feel like that infrastructure is the main key to the future of the county. We have a superb electrical infrastructure with Southern Indiana Power. We have a superb utility in infrastructure with telephone and internet. I mean, some of the best in the state that I've seen with drawing a blank, sorry, PSC. And then we do really great with Antro, and as you just noticed, Antro came up, and they're talking about their expansion and trying to get to more residents in the county. And you know, we've had you know, we've been following along with their progress, and that's really great to see. And the next big thing to put into that is the sewer. And you know, where do we go with that, and how can we make that better? And we want to come to you today to make this official that we would like to pursue with public input on, you know, how that might shape out. What do we need to do next? Where do we go from here to how to expand, not only support the current infrastructure we have, but expand maybe into the Leopold area with picking up additional users. So I'll leave it up to you guys. We want to just kind of bring this to you. A couple things I do want to address is that, number one, this is not a new thing. You know, this has been talked about. I've been involved with just community discussions for over 2 years now. And also the second thing is this is completely driven by community and residents. This isn't anything that came out of the current situation with money becoming available. This has been going on for a long time, and it's just maybe, hopefully, what we're crossing our fingers on is this is the perfect storm to come together to maybe move forward in a positive manner. So I'm not sure what the next steps are with you guys, but I would think that we, you know, want to go out and maybe have a public meeting and get more input and additional ideas, and you know, see where it goes from there.
Well, I think that's it's probably time to put something out for a public meeting, and I think that's a good idea, and invite, of course, Tell City officials, because it will involve their sewer. Because I don't see where it makes any sense of establishing another sewer district, and we got a sewer running right up within, how far would the sewer line be from 1 mile?
Yes, it's about, if you follow the roadway, the current system ends pretty close to Perry Central School there at the Head Start. And so it's about 1.2 miles from there to the west side of Leopold. And then by the time you get through Leopold, it's about another 0.5 to 0.6 miles. And then there's some areas you could branch off and pick up additional residents, depending on how it goes, that may include around a 2 to 2.5 mile range.
Well, I believe being proactive is better than waiting till something catastrophic happens and the community's forced to do something by regulatory bodies. I mean, so I think a public meeting, and being a venue with today's environment, you know, it's hard to have one here. Maybe have one at school where social distancing can happen, so it's not limited to the number of people there. What's you guys' feelings on that?
Yeah, I would
Well,
highly recommend that.
Yeah, what I wanted to want to bring up, that's a good point, is that you know, from a community standpoint, we don't want to, you know, spread and push fear or anything like that, but that is a reality that there are IDEM laws in place that currently aren't probably we're not in compliance with. And the first place that they start with things like that are businesses. I have a business, and we have a Leopold store. We have a really great restaurant. The store's great too, by the way. We also have the Leopold Community Center, which has not been able to get as much activity in the recent past because of not being able to have upgrades to the facility. And these are all, you know, sewer is the missing key to being able to just maintain those things in a positive manner and ensure that we can move forward with keeping those current facilities.
And I've been involved in some of the informal conversations and discussions on expanding the sewer to the northern part of the county, the I-64 corridor, and there's been study after study, and it just keeps coming up with the figure a lot of times is put on $1 million a mile, you know, and then when you go another 6 miles, that's $6 million for you to even start a project, and that's been a killer, you know, of taking the sewer out to I-64 corridor with no real development there, and I kind of like the idea. You've got a business there. We were, and Aaron Emerson's here. The county was named, or the city was named best city to.
Best city in, best small city in the United States for Alberta.
Yeah, the small, so I think we should capitalize on that, and this may be something we really need to look at. Leopold area is a great area. I mean, and there's enough residents there that maybe there's enough interest to get an expansion of the sewer into that, and then that will promote other growth.
Yeah, well, we've went out and we've reached out to developers, and not that they're, you know, we're not asking developers to come develop the area, and we haven't, you know, solicited any commitments from developers, but we've said, hey, take a look at Leopold area, not just Leopold. We're kind of using Leopold in the general sense of a pretty broad radius around that area. But, you know, what's the check boxes that you look at when you go into an area to invest? And, you know, if that's just buying an existing home and fixing it up, if that's creating a small apartment complex for young individuals just getting started in their careers, if it's you know, an existing, or not an existing, but, you know, maybe a new business type thing, if you, that you want to come in. A lot of people are working, you know, remotely now, and, you know, all the check boxes are checked except sewer.
Right. Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We want to develop and have to deal with it.
Like the fibers, I mean, I think the PSC's goal is to have fiber to every customer within 2 years of now, 2 to 3 years. I mean, it's a pretty substantial move. We're way ahead of the game of other
Yeah.
communities.
Well, it's very interesting to me, if you study the history of utilities and civilization, that it was always water, then sewer, then electric. And somehow, internet and fiber have shot to the top of the list above everything. So, I'm not gonna say if that's a good or a bad thing, depending on how you use it, I guess. But in a lot of situations, and in this situation, I think sewer's been pushed to the bottom of the list, and that's okay. But we're at the bottom of the list. We've checked off all the other boxes.
You're at the top now.
Yeah, this
I mean,
is,
more or less.
yes, sorry, reverse side. We've got the others already in place and moving forward, so let's finish it off.
Well, my thoughts is that if, I know that you and Jody Branch have been a lot of the ringleaders on, I mean, you've been the ones. So, I think it would be proper for one of you two to propose a public meeting, and if you could use the school, I think there's whatever rooms is available. I know that they got more choices than we have.
Right.
So, and then contact Teresa, with some proposed dates or something, and then we'll do it, you know, with the 48 hours notice, and try to get it out to, at least 48 hours. I mean, we'll try to get it out to as many people as possible, and we get all the input. And I think the more support you have for it, whether it's people in the Leopold area or people in the whole county, I think the better this would go.
Well, there's two things we understand. Obviously, support for the project is paramount to moving forward. But also, we also understand that we're just a small group of people that have, you know, we don't have all the ideas. We don't have all the solutions. So we
And
want to
that's
get,
time to expand
yeah, we
out.
want to take this out and say, hey, you know, what, is this a possibility? Is this something, you know, what do you see? And give the you know, the general public, you know, and this affects the entire county. This isn't you know, it affects the entire county from a taxpayer standpoint. It affects the entire county from you know, a residential standpoint, because, you know, obviously if this is something that Tell City Sewer would want to be involved in, it's going to be their line. So this is not a small pocket. I'm really excited because it is something that encompasses the entire county, and we want as much input from individuals as possible. But we also need to understand that this is very important. It's very serious, and it is something that I feel very strongly about needing to move forward with, to be able to cross off all the boxes on the utility side. And you know, from an environmental standpoint and from a quality of life standpoint, this is a big initiative for that.
I think so.
But yeah, I'll be happy to send some proposed dates, and I'll discuss the venue without, you know, now that winter sports are over, we should be able to maybe get a big enough gymnasium to be able to do proper social distancing and still bring in individuals. And you know, I'm available anytime. I'm, you know, a board member out there, so I'm obviously available to the county for any discussions on that. But you know, if anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to give them some information, some background, and ask for their ideas. So,
Okay, Randy or?
You know,
anything to
you
add?
said you've been involved the last couple of years, but since I've been commissioner for the last 8 years, it's always been talked about. So it's not anything new, so it's time to try to move forward.
Take
on
the
that.
next step.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So,
Thanks, Craig.
Thanks, Glenn.
So I got a couple comments. Anything that brings people back to this area, whether it be our kids or whatever, or actually people that are doing a mass exodus from urban areas, because that's happening. There is a unprecedented number of people that are leaving urban areas and trying to come someplace rural. And the Stanford University that voted us #1 small city for remote workers. That's something we need to capitalize on fast. And that data highway that you're talking about before, used to be that when we wanted to attract businesses here, it's the highway that we have, the access that we have, that we're a mile away from Evansville, not a mile, an hour away from Evansville, an hour and a half from Louisville, 2 from Nashville, and so on and so on. Our location here gave us logistic possibilities. We have really low cost logistics here. And that's great for industry. The thing that now is happening is that we now have the data highway. With all the fiber that's going in, we have a huge possibility of this large pipe of data that comes out from this island in the middle of 60,000 national forest, 60,000 acres of national forest. We got to be touting that. You got to be pushing that. And the projects that you're talking about are key to that too, because when they want to move out in those areas, they don't want to have to deal with a septic system or anything like that. They want to be able to hook in and go. They want the feel of a rural area, but they want the creature comforts too, that's included in that. So anything around that, I'm good. I'm really for. I would say that when we have this public meeting, there's 2 different people that need to be represented. Well, probably 3 that need to be represented on it. We probably need to have the Tell City mayor on there and some of the other mayors maybe too, just to have their input. But the Board of Works for sure, because you're going to be connected into their utility systems. And then the other one is the RDC rep. We probably need someone from that. And the reason for that is they may want to couple this with what they're looking at the ATTC area with
Who did you say?
an RDC rep. Either doesn't matter who, maybe John or whoever.
Oh, redevelopment.
Redevelopment Commission.
Right. Yeah,
Because they're looking at the ATTC area to actually potentially put houses out that way or somewhere in that area. Maybe you could couple these 2 things together and make it even more attractive.
right,
Who
and
knows?
there was discussion at the last RDC meeting about residential TIF districts. You know, that was just brought up because legislation has changed in the last 2 years. So, you know, that may even be an idea that comes from this too, that as a funding source, and we could look and see what, you know, first of all, I mean, studies aren't cheap, but they're important. And so if first thing would be that we would have to have an engineering report, a preliminary engineering report, but we need to identify that with the thoughts of a group, you know, so. You gotta have the parameters, and I think that you have some ideas and you know, over the years, and I've attended, you know, a few of your discussions over the years, and several I haven't, you know, because it's been going on for a long time. So, like I said, it's time, like you said, Lynn, the boxes are checked off except for wastewater. So, and we're fortunate, a lot of communities and counties are really trying to get the broadband. That's a concentration. Well, we're fortunate that we're in good shape. I mean, it's in the process. I mean, there's a lot of fiber being put down, and with Southern Indiana Power, I know Randy sits on that board too. That was a huge asset when Southern Indiana Power partnered with PSC on expanding the broadband. So.
To the places that PSC didn't serve already, what we went after to
Right,
help them. So,
right.
more or less-
Underserved.
Yeah. So, yeah, and Perry Spencer was getting all their members already under their own, but they had members outside of their membership that didn't have it, and that's where Southern came in and helped, because we served those individuals too, so. It was a great partnership. There's a lot of people throughout the state and the country looking at this partnership, what we're doing here, especially in the state. We're kind of the eyeball of the state, on the REMC. There's 38 electric co-ops in the state, and they're kind of watching what we're doing. And most of them wish they had a telecom to partner with, like we did, so. It's kind of a perfect storm. Like Glenn says, we need to finish that storm now.
Yeah, keep moving.
Yeah,
Right.
keep going, so.
Okay, so you or somebody will contact and we'll get something and see if we can get, you know, PCDC and Tell City and the RDC and maybe, it's hard to pick a date that everybody can be as like herding cats, but hopefully we can, you know, at least have a large representation. Yeah, so.
Well, like I said, I'm available, so if someone can't
Well, I got one comment to make. One of the citizens out there in your community, once we got the EMS out at the highway garage, he told me the next thing you need to work on is the sewer system. So that's falling right in line. So that's coming from a older like gentleman there in town there, so. So we need to tell him we're working on it, so.
Next on the agenda, Alvin Evans, Aaron, you know where Alvin's at by chance?
I've tried reaching out to Alvin, I haven't gotten a response, so I'm not real sure.
I guess
if
we
he's-
can put him on the next agenda. I'm pretty sure what he wanted, there were some improvements on the Industrial Park South entrance road. I think, that was discussed at the PCDC meeting, that he was, gonna present for that, but I don't think that that's urgent. Yeah, so we'll just reschedule him.
Yeah. He must have gotten tied up somewhere, so.
Yeah, cause usually
He
he's,
was out of town yesterday, so maybe he just didn't.
he what?
Yeah.
He was out of town yesterday, so.
Oh, maybe he didn't get back in. Okay. Yeah, we'll just reach out to him, see if he wants on the next agenda.
Okay.
And on miscellaneous, the only thing I have, the Okra grant, for the $250,000 for the businesses was, we got, notification yesterday. Well, actually, I got notification Friday, and was asked by Okra not to share the information until yesterday, that, we were not selected this time. We have reached out to Okra, for the scoring. It was on a scoring basis, and why we didn't score high enough. I thought that using Indiana 15 as our administrator of the grant, and all the hard work that Jenny Matai with Indiana 15 and the whole staff out there, I'm not sure who all worked on them, I'm sure that it was just more than Jenny, and then Aaron with PCDC, and Wendy with the chamber, and even Betty Cash with the CVB, and then I know that there's several other people. Teresa worked hard on it. There's a lot of people worked very hard on it. Very disappointing, and I'm not sure. I can only guess at the criteria that we.
Yeah, I had a really good feeling. I think a lot of us had a really good feeling. We tried to demonstrate the need as much as possible by getting testimonials from local businesses talking about the impact of COVID. But I do know that they had 117 or 118 applications, and there was only so much money. So we have reached out. I'm really anxious to see the scoring criteria and just kind of get some of the feedback and see if we can look for ideas to improve. I know that one of the criteria that probably hurt us was our low unemployment rate. I think we got 0 points if you were like below 5%, which we are or were for that time period. So, and we were competing against, this time they opened it up to non-entitlement communities too, so any size, and not just rural, it's open to everybody, and there's a lot of applications that we didn't get it, and I'm sure some of those unemployment rates and bigger areas were a little bit different too. We would've got points that we didn't get, but I really want to get some feedback to understand what we can do next time, and in the meantime, we're just looking for all those opportunities. I don't know if they'll do another round. This was the third round that they did, but I'll be watching for it.
Well, what advantage I thought we had was that they changed the criteria for the low to moderate income. Low to
Yes.
moderate income for the employees of the small businesses, and which gave us an advantage that we didn't have before.
Right, it would have been a lot more, businesses would have applied in that LMI category to use it. And for the first 3 rounds, or for the first 2 rounds, it was a lot more strict, and you would have had to have really low income employees to be able to take the money. And that is one of the reasons that we did not pursue it. That was our understanding for the first 2 rounds, and this was a lot more flexible, and everybody wanted a shot at it. And just, you can't get them all, but I'm already looking for other funding opportunities, so.
And a month, how long, or 2, 3 weeks or a month, I mean, that we worked on it, I mean.
Oh, yeah, it was a long process of, what we had to follow in terms of, public meetings, and then there was a proposal, and then that was followed by the actual application, and, putting word out. We did a press release to get a list of interested businesses, and now we need to follow up with those, so.
Well, once we get feedback, we'll try to share that too.
Yes.
So we know how to pursue.
Typically, those scores are like weighted, so is the unemployment rate, was that a really highly weighted one? I mean, was that a big
It was
portion of
in
the score?
a section. They had it broken down in, I think, 3 different sections. There was one that was just like data or demographic based kind of,
Yeah.
and then there was more on your actual plan to use the money once you got it, and we worked real hard on that. We had an application. They wanted to see that if you did get awarded the money, you were prepared to move.
Mm-hmm.
So we already had a draft application ready for businesses, and
And on the past ones where it was talking about the LMI, that included the owner of the business too, right? That's why it really hurt us when it came to that.
right,
It
they
wasn't just the
changed-
workers, it was included the
Right,
actual
and they
owners.
counted, as an example, if you had, 3 part-time employees at your business and they had other jobs as well, maybe they just worked 10 hours a
Right.
week for you and they worked 20 hours a week somewhere else, they had to count their entire income from all of their jobs, which kicked a lot of businesses out. But this round, they updated it, so you only counted the income at that particular employer.
Location.
Right.
Yeah.
So it made it, a lot more people were considered part of that LMI, and it would have been easier for more local businesses to use that money should we have gotten it, but it's just part of it. We'll keep trying.
Yeah, I was pretty confident, but.
Yeah.
I was
I thought
too.
it
I had
looked
a really good feeling, and they actually were supposed to announce on Friday, or, Teresa, is that right? Was it Friday?
Yes.
Whatever
They-
day it was, we
Yeah,
refreshed
Thursday, I
our
think.
browser, like I'd be interested
Yes.
to see their visitation on that website that day. It was like refresh, go on Facebook page, refresh. Kept thinking any minute, and they didn't announce it until Monday. Yeah, it was supposed to come out Thursday, and they didn't announce till Monday morning. But I talked to Okra, and they said they are in the middle of hiring a new communications person,
Yeah.
and sounds like we're all with that workforce struggle.
So hopefully that doesn't delay the feedback we get from them. Right.
We shall see.
Yeah. So,
I'm gonna keep asking for it because I think that that's, part of the process, and the more we know, the more we can be prepared next time and give them exactly what they're looking for. And some of those things we won't be able to change. We can't change how they score the unemployment or population or how big we are, but we can do the best to make our case.
mhm. Well, thanks for all your work.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
All right, next meeting, Greg?
I apologize, we had a fire this morning. I was gonna be here for item 2, the street vacation. Obviously, I
Oh.
missed it.
Okay.
I'm representing Tell City Wastewater in the city of Tell City, and some of the comments he made about the system, I agree on. The street vacation, though, our concern was, when we do city streets in town, we are always at those meetings and we get input beforehand. There is a large sewer running down that portion of Herman Street that was vacated that does serve basically from here, the rest of the county. What our question is just to make sure is will the city have access to that street? Herman Street and then 25th Street is where the sewer follows. Once that's vacated, will we have access to get back there if there is a clog, blockage, or if we need to do maintenance on it? That was probably something that we should have asked before the meeting, but like I said, we're not familiar with county meetings on a city level as far as what we have to do to ask these questions, so we may be too late. I don't know if the city attorney needs to look at the
I think we
vacation.
can
too.
revisit it and ask Ramsey and then this
Yeah.
Cunningham, I don't see that being an issue. but,
I'm actually,
We need to run it past Chris.
we'll have Chris ask if they could put a.
and Chris and
deed
Jeff can
Yeah.
communicate
Yeah.
with,
Yeah.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Chris and Jeff, yeah, and, some sort of
Easement.
deed restriction or something.
Easement or
that-
Yeah,
something like that.
and normally the wording
Or
on the.
right
on the-
away or whatever.
The city vacations normally is worded that any existing utility will always have access to that, right of way, I guess you wanna call it. And that's the
I
question.
think that's standard, yeah.
And if it is, then the city should be.
But we need to make sure, because
Right,
they
yes.
might not be aware there's one in there.
Yes,
so.
yes. Just for future, the sewer that actually serves basically the rest of the county, it was put in during the Branchville line. The Branchville line actually turns from Force to Gravity off of Stone Road, Labhart driveway, if you're familiar with Labhart's.
Mhm.
Runs down behind Barkhamstead, comes down past Randy Coles, and it follows the platted streets, it turns. So Herman, 25th, behind Ponderosa, 26th, and then back through Barkhamstead. So those were the platted streets at the time, that's the way it was ran. So we actually have that
And that's-
basically in place.
So in that area, it is gravity or?
It is gravity. It is clay gravity, and there are manholes on it. So typically, when you have a blockage, we go to manholes to do maintenance on it. And there's actually 2 back in this
This is the recorded
section.
petition to vacate, there is a.
Yes, like I thought that would, I didn't have it in front of me, but, and I'll just read it.
Sure.
That's in the recorded petition to vacate, yeah.
Yeah, this is the petition. It said, there are public utilities existing along, over, and/or under said dedicated street. This petition for vacation shall not deprive any public utility of the use of all or part of said public way to be vacated.
Sounds good.
We're
Yeah.
good.
Sounds good.
Section
And I
2,
suppose
subject.
in there, but I didn't
Yeah,
have it in front of me.
and the cities are standard that way too. We just wanted to make sure that it was the same.
It would have really surprised me if it
Yeah.
didn't include
Yeah.
that, but I, like I said,
For-
I didn't have that in front of
For
me.
some
so.
crazy reason, when they put the sewer in over here, they actually ran it under the overhang of the barn over there. It actually runs under the barn. Don't know
Somebody
how or
was
why,
thinking.
but that's the way they did it.
Maybe they
Um,
wanted to work in shade.
And I know there has been communication, I thought, with the mayor and our superintendent in the Leopold area. I don't know what it entailed, because I wasn't present during any of those meetings, so.
Are you interested in entertaining that?
Okay. I know they were,
Yeah.
they had communication, so.
It's just been me going around asking people,
Yeah.
hey, is this something that is a good idea, or is this just some dumb thing that I've dreamed up?
Well, and we all have to figure out what the process is,
Yeah.
and sometimes we gotta take 2 steps forward and 1 back, but if it gains 1 step forward, then we're making progress.
Yeah, yeah. The city's portion actually ends there at Branchville, across from the prison, and the line that goes to Michael's Mark was put in by them, and it's a very small line. But there's a lift station at Branchville. There's an inactive one, well, let me back up. Perry Central School, there's one, and the sewer comes off the highway, goes past Perry Central, goes back to the highway, and then Lone Oak Road, across from the highway garage, Lone Oak Road, there's one there. So it is on this side of 37 in places, so I think they designed it for expansion, so
Expansion into-
hopefully it all works out. You know, it does help if we do have the flow. It makes it, the longer the water stays in the line, the harder it is to treat. So the quicker it comes to us, the easier it is to clean, so.
But you don't want all,
We don't wanna be-
stormwater either.
Right, yes, yeah. Well, any new system it'll be watertight, it'll be tight from stormwater anyway, so. Okay.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Greg. Hey, Tom, I got one question.
Yes.
It's probably for Pam. That memo was sent out last week by the council
Mhm.
with the overtime versus comp time for the vaccine clinic. Where's that at right now?
I can't tell you. I was just given that memo to send out. I have no idea what their intentions or anything of that is.
My opinion, I think the department heads, if they allow one of their employees to go to the clinic, which I encourage that if they work past the 4 o'clock, they need to have comp time.
Well, yeah, and with that said, it's up to the department head who, the department heads say whether or not, their employees get comp time, but that's comp time, and that's what, in our policies, but not to exceed our policies.
Yes. And
There's nothing in there beyond,
I
nothing.
have no idea, guys. I mean, that's something you gotta talk to Luke
No,
and them.
no,
I was just told to
right.
send it out, so I
Right.
don't know what their intentions, more
But
than what
I-
that notice says at this point.
That's
Right.
more of a commissioner call than a council call anyway on on the policy,
Right,
so.
unless it has to do with paying out
Yeah, actually,
overtime, and
yeah.
that's council, so it's two different.
Yeah.
But, as long as, no one exceeds our policies on the, accumulation of comp time. Now, we don't approve or disapprove paying out the overtime, that's.
Yeah.
that's-
Well, it'd be no different than any other comp time. The health department's just a little different way we pay them right now because
Yeah.
of the pandemic, so.
Well, and that's up to the council, but all we approved for the health department is that they can build comp time beyond our policies.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
that's all the that's all we have, that's all we can do.
Mhm.
So,
But I just wanna make that clear that we encourage department heads to send employees out there because they actually need the help, so.
yeah, and, the sad part is, I thought we were doing better, but the numbers are starting to come up. Hopefully it'll plateau again and, you know, this pandemic's not over yet.
Alvin's here, he's coming. Alvin's here.
Oh, Alvin's
He'll be
here?
coming in.
The other piece of that too is that we're not changing the policy by doing this at all, so there's no need for
No.
the council to be involved in that either. We're just reiterating what the policy already says.
It's really not any different than the clerk at election time.
Yep.
As their employees work over. It's no different than that.
Yeah,
so.
that's
But I wanna
up to
make
their
it,
discretion based on the policy.
but I wanna make it clear too, that we're not trying to say that they will be paid for the overtime, because that's not in our.
No.
No,
Not in
as
our
as
stuff.
per the policy, they
Yeah.
would just be calm.
You just
Yep.
follow the policy guidelines, so.
So you say Alvin is here?
Coming in the door.
Okay, well, we'll go ahead and wait, for Alvin, he must have been detained. Before we move on.
While we're waiting for him to walk in, is there any way that we can move our next meeting, which is the one that's at night, to either the Perry Central or Tell City Auditorium? You know, or I know that.
Yeah, there is, we tried to, we can do that, we've done that, but there was a reason why we can't just inadvertently just move it. And I'll have to get back, I'll have Chris, cause we looked into that
Okay.
a few years ago.
Because it'd be nice to move our night, at least the ones at night. The ones during the day we can't because there's
Right,
kids
there was more of a process than what I thought. We
Okay.
tried to do that a few years ago,
Okay.
and, let me get with Chris.
We was allowed to do that to the high schools because it was like an education for the kids.
Right.
Move our meetings.
Right.
I think how it was, if it's something was wrong with this building, we had to write otherwise. If it was under construction, that's the reason we moved it to the high school that time, when they was doing construction to this room right here. We moved it out to the high school and we actually, the kids enjoyed it enough that we started doing it every year, until this year, everything.
Right. And I'm like you, Greg, I thought, well, hey, we'll just do this. Well, it wasn't that simple. I mean, state laws don't allow a lot of things. And I'll ask Chris again and have him share the information.
And there might be a reason now since the pandemic or something, too, I don't know.
That-
so.
Yeah.
Council was able to do it pretty easily. I don't see why we can't follow that.
Well,
Unless they did it wrongly.
I don't know. I'm not gonna say until I talk to
The
Chris.
council did that meeting, I think, because it was after the redevelopment, since they had to do that bond thing, and that's the reason why they had it at the schools.
Special meeting, scheduled meeting, doesn't matter. It's a public meeting. They were able to do it. I don't see why we can't.
Right, and I'll get back with, there was a reason, because we tried to do that a few years ago.
Okay.
Okay. All right, Alvin, you are up. It's been a rough weekend.
Well, I was meeting for,
Alvin, you can take off your mask if you want. That'll help us to hear you better. Thank you.
what I was meeting with you today for was, on a T-Way. It's, the road's got a couple potholes in it. Temporary repaired one of them last fall. Plus it's, no, it hasn't had any attentions done to it since it was built in 96, I think that's when it was. Something like that. Anyway, it needs to be resurfaced. It's printed off a quote, and I forgot to pick it up when I left the office, so I think it's $39,000 and some odd dollars. I'll get you the exact number.
39 or 139?
$39,000 dollars, and it's, well, that road was built with, when Perfect Fit was put in, when Duff Park was done, that was done with an edit bond. And so, wondering if, the amount, yes, 75, that's what it was, 75,000, sorry.
Instead of 39?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Something going on with that speaker.
Good, because I couldn't find it on my printer. Yeah, it was.
Okay.
But,
75,900 additional.
right, and so that was with milling, the joints, or milling along the curbs and putting an 1.5 inch resurface over top of besides the patches. So I was wondering if that could be done with the edit, put it included in the edit plans and accomplish that. That is a county road. I mean, it's on county property. It's just never been accepted into the system. So.
You're talking about the regular highway edit money, or which edit money you,
Your economic development income tax plan.
yeah,
Yes.
the what portion goes to the
Yes.
highway?
That's your decision.
That's okay.
On whether you're taking it out of that or taking it out of the
The
unappropriated
extra, yeah.
portion.
How much is in that fund, Pam? I know it's about 200,000.
It could be, I don't have any of that with me.
Okay.
To tell you right off the top of my head, I can't, so I don't
think
wanna
it's
give you a
somewhere around
figure that I'm
200.
not sure of.
So,
Could you have that the next meeting?
Yep.
And then I'll talk to Steve Howell about if he wants to incorporate.
You want
it
the
in.
unappropriated edit amount?
Yeah, out of the special distribution,
yeah,
the excess,
I mean, it was
and see where
a
we're
big
at with
employee
that.
back there, and we need to keep it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, forward goes,
Yeah.
getting
That
that
75 could
point
turn to
where-
150 really quick.
Yes, it could. And so, yeah, right now, it's just those two areas that have
Yeah.
deteriorated and nothing else major, so just.
Well, they did a good job if it lasted that long. With the amount of
Yes,
traffic's
with all-
been in there in the last several years.
No, yeah.
Exactly.
Truck
Yes,
traffic.
And that's reason, last fall it seems there, but with the construction going on, I didn't see any sense in addressing it until the construction was done, well, they got completed last fall, which was a good thing, so.
And that road will, for future access in there for the future development, that'd be the road you'll be getting in there yet?
That'll be the road for
Okay.
anything that
Yeah.
carries out the park out there.
Okay, so
across from it.
that's another reason we need to,
Yes, right.
Yeah, I think we definitely need to maintain it, we just, where we're gonna.
yeah, we'll figure out a
Where
way.
we're gonna fund it from.
Yeah.
But a month or so,
It won't make any difference, I just wondered if you were going to make any changes to the edit plan or anything else, I thought that's the reason I brought that.
Yeah, and I mean, it's made for this year, but Chris has always revised it. I mean, he did that in the
But
past, so,
remend it.
yeah, remend it, yeah.
Okay.
okay, and that's the total amount, 75,900?
Yes,
75,900 and then an additional 2,000 for the mill.
How much?
Yes, there was something in,
It was,
I don't remember what.
placement of pavement markings to original layout with 2 coats of paint and reflective beads with an additional 2,000 on top of the 75,900.
Okay.
Striping.
With the beads on it, at that, we striped it before, so I guess they ought to put that on there
Yeah.
too, sorry.
Well, as much, and especially we're trying to market that, across from ATTC.
Yes.
Yeah, so it'll serve that new building pad and possibly any development behind. There's 90-some acres back there, right?
Yeah.
Yes, right, yes.
Mhm.
And they, if there is an alternate in that for doing the approaches, that would be ATDC's responsibility to pay for that portion of it then. They're going back inside their approaches, and this is just from curb line to curb line.
Okay. All right.
So I had to apologize for being late.
Okay, at least
I'm
you
being
made it.
prepared. It's a rough weekend.
I hope the rest of the week goes better.
Thanks, Alvin.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Alan.
Okay,
So do you want this on the agenda again for the May 3rd meeting? Do
I
you-
think so. I think I should,
And we'll have a not to exceed amount or something, or,
I'll
yeah.
have, I'll get you the exact quote, the
okay.
quotation, so you have
Okay.
it all. So-
Yeah, because we'll probably do a not to exceed. Okay.
And are we looking at the May 3rd meeting being in another location, or is that still gonna be discussed? Is
Well,
that
I
what-
wanna make sure that, I'm gonna talk to Chris, I mean, cause I don't remember the details, but there was a reason, because we tried to do that before, with having the larger venue.
If it's possible, can we go ahead and say that we're gonna move it? I mean, if there's no,
We can, I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah, Well, I won't publish the notice till the week before, so,
right, so we got time to find out.
not
but-
next week.
so we'll basically say next meeting, May 3rd, at 6 PM, location to be announced. That work?
Yeah.
When it's published.
Yeah,
Yep.
that works.
Yep, we
Yeah,
can do that.
right, and I'll let you know, like I say, I apologize, Greg, and I didn't mean to.
No.
But we tried to do this before, and I forget what it was, but
I'm
there
still
was a
learning.
reason.
I'm still
Yeah.
learning, but I'm one of those that I gotta know the whys.
I need to make
Okay.
With that being, with that being, being over $50,000, we will have to get 3 quotations for it then, so we don't have to bid it since it's less than 150, but I have to get 3 quotations for it, so that will be in that budget estimate price then, what that is so far, then,
Okay,
so I would assume.
so not to exceed to be a budgeted price, but then before the work is done, you'll have to get 3 quotes.
I have to get 3 quotations in, so it is your project, so we'll submit it to you for your review then, since it is yours, so.
Okay,
All right.
good.
It'll start.
Yeah, if we get it to last, with 96, that's 25 years, if we could get to last another 25 years, we want
Be
Yeah,
great.
we're very good at it.
same person to do it. Okay, all right. This
Okay.
meeting, May 3rd, location to be announced.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.